What's up everyone, back for another beer review, and today I'll be reviewing yet another collaboration beer, this time between the Bitburger Brauerei, and they are out of Bitburg, Germany, and the Deschutes Brewery, and they're out of Bend, Oregon, and this is their Dry Hop'd Zwickl. So this is a Zwickel beer that comes in at 4.9% alcohol by volume, 34 IBUs at the time of review. I believe this can is approximately 8 months old, but it does have a best by date of January 2nd of 2024. So they're giving it a couple years and we should be fine. Now, I picked this one up because I don't think I have reviewed like a beer from Bitburger. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I may have reviewed a beer between them and Sierra Nevada. I think it was it the 2019 Oktoberfest collaboration they did? Sierra Nevada brewed it, but I'm pretty sure it was collab with Bitburger. Anyway, I have not reviewed a beer from them specifically. Deschutes, we don't get distro here in the Buffalo, New York area, which is a bummer. I love their Black Butte Porter and like the Anniversary Black Butte and a lot of their beers. Wish we got distro, I would review it. So when I saw this, I was like, let's give it a go. I haven't had a Zwickel beer in a hot minute. I've only had a handful in my life. They're basically like a little bit lighter and less intense Kellerbiers. They're unfiltered and whatnot. And when they say dry hopped, I believe in addition to, they're using like a local hop. I forget the hop. They're using in addition to, I believe it's Citra and Mosaic. I'm pretty sure. So that's where the dry hop comes in. They're using 3 different hops. And yeah, I'm here for it. So I also want to apologize for the terrible German pronunciation of Bitburger. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. You're not here for pronunciations of anything because I can barely speak English as is, so I apologize. Anyway, let's give it a pour here. Ooh, I like that color already. So this isn't super fresh, around 8 months old, but they give it a couple years, and we should be okay. With a style like this, we should be all right. They say dry hop, but whatever, it should be good. Anyway, yeah, that looks beautiful. That has like this almost brass-esque color. I don't know how it's going to look on camera, maybe more like straight up like a orange kind of, but it has like this brassy, almost copper-like color. Like at the bottom here, it's more like yellow-orange. As it goes up the glass, it becomes more of like this almost brassy copper color. I'd say it has about a finger and a half of a light tan, somewhat soap sudsy looking head. Looks nice though. Let's get a nose. Oh, that's actually pretty good. It almost has like a slight caramel kind of malt profile. It's bready, has a nice bready, almost slightly toasted white bread, but there's a little bit of caramel, a little bit of orange in here. I feel like the Citra and Mosaic are giving me like that citrus vibe. A little bit of orange, tangerine, maybe a lemon. But then it has that big malty like undertone where it's caramel and it's toasted bread and stuff. It's kind of interesting. Kind of reminds me of like the first time I had like a IPL or something, Or I guess nowadays a cold IPA. But it just has that like a little bit more of a hoppy feel to it for a Zwickel beer. A little bit of like a spicy floral kind of thing going on as well. Definitely the hop character. Made by mouthwater. This smells like you took a Zwickel, a Kellerbier, maybe even a slight Helles, and just there's a little bit of that Citra and Mosaic kind of feel to the hops, where it's not overbearing, it just has more citrus, maybe nondescript like tropical, but it's not too big. It smells really refreshing. Let's get into it. Prost, everybody. Okay, crush multiple cans of that without question. Yeah, it's really easy to go. The body and mouthfeel on this are fucking phenomenal. I'm kind of surprised at 4.9% how hefty the body is. The body on this is like medium, touch over medium, less than 5%. And this body has better bodies than beers that I've had that are, I've said this before recently, but like 7.5%, 8% like double IPAs. The body on this is better than them. If they said this is a full-bodied Zwickel beer, I'd be like, yeah, it's close to it for sure. The mouthfeel, too, really crisp on the palate. Right? Like the first third of the palate, you get that dancing carbonation on your tongue. But as you continue on with the sip, it smooths out. It actually finishes somewhat creamy on the palate. The body and mouthfeel are the best thing about this beer. I'll just be honest with you. The taste isn't blowing me away. But I could drink this beer just because of the body or mouthfeel alone. And I have not really said that about too many beers outside of like New England style IPAs, where I'll be like, you know what? The flavors are okay, but the body and mouthfeel are just spectacular. This beer, the body and mouthfeel are spectacular. And look at that. Look at that. It just looks a picture perfect S beer. A flavor. More of like just a regular kind of white bread at the front of the palate. Maybe a touch of honey. There's, again, caramel. It's not super big, but there's a little bit of caramel. Something else hit there. Yeah, a little bit of caramel. As it passes through, the hops come in. Again, it's zesty, rindy orange, a little bit of lemon, maybe a tangerine. And then I get a nondescript tropical kind of feel midway through the palate. Or maybe like a white fruit, like a pear or something. And then on the back of the palate, the hops continue, but they change from citrus and a little bit of that pear to like a slightly floral kind of spicy edge to it. Finishes semi to full on dry with a mild to moderate bitterness. This has a little bit more bitterness than I'd expect from the style. And if anything, you know, being dry hopped and having a little bit more hop character, it definitely has a little bit more bitterness than I would anticipate with something like this. When I first took a sip, I was somewhat underwhelmed, to be honest with you. But as I continued to drink on this one, I could, even though I said I could crush a shit ton of these after the first sip, that was because it was very, the first sip was very, just like, this is all right. As I continue to sip on it, though, that body and mouthfeel are just really speaking to me. And I'm liking that lingering, like, almost moderate bitterness on the back of my palate with that semi-dry kind of feeling. And it makes it more drinkable. I want to go back for another sip. All that malty goodness up front, that citrus tone, the body and the mouthfeel hits, the smooth finish, and then the dryness and the bitterness kick back up. This is very well balanced. I would say I'm not an expert when it comes to Zwickel beers or even Kellerbiers, but I think this leans a little bit more bitter than the style is known for, just a smidge. But I think that is an added layer of complexity that I enjoy. That first sip, I would have gave this beer like a 3.5. As I drink on this one, this has jumped up. And I'm surprised at how much I enjoy this one right now. So I'm going to give from Bitburger, or just Bitburger, and Deschutes, their Dry Hop'd Zwickl. I give that a high 4 out of 5, well, 4.1 out of 5, almost into the low 4.25 range. I'm not shitting you. I like this, and this beer is 8 months old. Like, yes, this is really good, and I would have loved to try this like fresh, but I mean, I'm sure it was at my local beer stores and grocery stores and stuff, but I just saw it. It caught my eye when I went out beer shopping like a week ago. I was like, you know what? Let me grab it. And I did, and I'm really happy I did. Price and availability. I think price point on this was like 10, 11 bucks a 4-pack. Something like that. It was like 10 bucks a 4-pack. It was $2.49 for that can. All fucking day long. It's quality through and through. And availability, I imagine wherever you see Bitburger, maybe even Deschutes. But I'm really happy with this. 4.1 out of 5. Really solid beer. And again, it's one of those drinking beers. It's 4.9%. You can have a couple of them. I don't think it's going to be too much. Maybe after a couple beers, the bitterness and the dryness might build up on me personally, but I think it's really good. So if you've had this one before, post in the comment section. I am surprised at how much I enjoy this one, especially after that first sip. I was kind of like, oh, I think this is just going to be okay. And the body and mouthfeel, just the transformation of the opinion of this beer from the first sip to the last sip might be the biggest difference that I've had in a beer. Like going from like, oh, first sip, I'm going to give it a 3.5 to the final score being a 4.1. That's a big jump in a short period of time. So I would say grab this one if you see it, especially if you like Keller beers and maybe a little bit of hop forward lagers. Anyway, appreciate everybody stopping by for another beer review here on the Beer Patrol. To the next one. Prost. Oh yeah, 4.9%. Nah, I'm good. Anyway, prost.